Hello, my name is Zishan, and I'm starting this vlog about having Zoe in general, but also owning a Zoe in a flat in Berlin. Yeah, that should be an interesting experience since it's an electric car. Firstly, why am I doing this vlogging? I found out that there's a lot of videos about Zoe, but all from UK or maybe from Germany, but then they're in German. So it's not very useful for people in many different European countries who are interested in this car, and they don't see a lot of videos that apply to most like in Europe, because the power plugs are different in UK, and then there's a lot of differences with Europe, most of Europe and UK in the end. So yeah, I started doing this, and also to give some perspective to people who live in Berlin, maybe, and then they want to have a car, or in general big cities. How would they handle it if it's possible even? So yeah, that's the reason. Another thing would be. The first question would be from people that why am I buying a Zoe? Well, I first drove a Zoe in the UK. I lived there for 3 years about, and it just blew my mind. It was so awesome, the experience. I think it was also because, before that I had only driven gasoline cars, so I had no idea how electric cars feel even. So it was mostly, I think, about just an electric car in general feeling that blew me away. But there were some specific things about Zoe as well. For example, like the sounds that Zoe, the artificial sound they have added, they're really, really good. They're like it makes you feel like you're in a spaceship and stuff. And even from outside, the sounds are like very space agey, and it's pretty cool for a geek like me. So I got impressed by that, at least. And another thing is like there were some small things here and there. One of them was that it just was smooth, like whether it was uphill or not. And if it was down, when it goes downhill, you're charging. So it's not just that you get a free ride down going downward, but you also get free charge. Of course, it's not exactly free. You have to go first up and then go down. But the thing is, compared to gasoline cars, you get an extra advantage because with gas car, you have to use petrol for both. Maybe less for downhill, but still. Anyway, and where I was living in London, there was like a bit of uphill at the last bit. So each time I went to my home in the car, it was. And you could hear the engine struggling. I mostly had a manual car, so it was even like you had to switch to first gear and then second gear and stuff like that. But you can hear it really struggling here and stuff like that. But you can hear it really struggling. But with Zoe, I was just going uphill as if it's not uphill. It was just like normal. So it was pretty impressive actually for me. Yeah, of course, there was other things. I got impressed, and I really wanted Zoe at that time. But they said since I hadn't been in UK for more than 3 years at that time, so they couldn't lease it to me, and I couldn't buy it. So that was my option. But also, it was a good thing I didn't get it, because after 6 months I left UK for a job. And I couldn't have taken it with me with the lease agreement. And even if I could, I wouldn't want it to, because the steering wheel is on the right side instead of left, and that would be problematic in Sweden, where I went to. I didn't get Zoe at that time. Then I drove Nissan Leaf in Sweden. And that was not impressive at all, and on multiple levels. Firstly, I felt like when I drove Zoe, it felt like a gasoline car, but just that it's electric. It didn't have the electric car feeling for me for some reason. Maybe Zoe spoiled me in that regard. So yeah, and that was the first thing. And second thing was it wasn't even affordable. Like they had really horrible option. Like the leasing was for 2 years, and it was more like a rental only. So you couldn't own it after 2 years. You can't give them money and take it. But and also they only had for 2 years maximum. so that made the monthly fee very high. So yeah, I didn't take that in the end, and it was good because then I moved to Germany after that, to Berlin. So yeah, and I tried, and I've been using these car sharing services in Sweden. I was doing that; it worked very well, and in here as well. But there's limitations to that, And recently, Sixt started their own car sharing service, and I started using it, and they had a lot of Renault Zoes. So I drove Zoe's again, and I got impressed again, and I was like, okay, I remember now. I have wanted this car, so let's look into getting one. So I tried to get one, and they approved my lease agreement and everything, and it was they gave me really good options. That was like, you can have it for 5 years, even more than 5 years if I wanted to. And at the end of it, I can even buy it from them. And also, like the batteries, like they used to not give you battery, only rent it, but they now give you the option of buying it. But I didn't want to buy it. It's safer this way. You don't want to buy it usually, because if the capacity goes down, then it's on you. But with leasing the battery or renting or whatever it's called, they are supposed to replace it for you if the capacity goes down below 75% or something like that. So I think that's really good. Yeah. So at least for now, I will be leasing the battery as well. Also, like I went for the 41 kilowatt hours because I wanted to have the maximum range possible, and so I can even go to Czech Republic to see my friend. It's like he's almost like 300 kilometers, and that's practically that's the maximum range. So I can go from 0 to 100 by going from my place to his place. But we'll see with that how the battery actually works and stuff. So yeah, I'm getting one. But another question you would be asking, why are you listening to me sitting at home? It's because I haven't got the car yet. They got it took them 1 week to get the car to the dealership from the warehouse and somewhere outside Berlin. I don't know why it takes so long, but and then once they got it, they applied for registration yesterday, and they said it will take about a week. And also they need to change the tires because I went for the all-season tires option. I just don't want to get into the hassle of having to change the tires all the time. And in Berlin, it's not really needed. Like it snows sometimes, maybe a bit, but it's not a huge problem. It's not worth it to have winter tires, I think. But of course, we'll see how it goes in winter. Also, another question people would ask is, what's my charging story? I live in Berlin in a flat in Neukölln. There's surprisingly a huge amount of charging stations, and close to me there's I would say 5 minutes walk from me. There's a charging station, and those charging stations, they're usually they have spots, reserved spots for cars to charge. So that's a good thing, and most people respect that, but not always. I've seen gasoline cars parked there sometimes, and especially at night. And I think it's also because the instructions in there, they are not very clear. So I talked to the company that does these charging stations, and they responded. They said they're talking with the authorities to how to tackle this problem, and they are aware of this problem. So, well, hopefully they are doing something about it. Often you can find charging spots, and they're flat rate, so you don't pay by the kilowatt hours that you charge, but instead it's about each session, and they're maximum 4 hours. So and if usually they're 11 kilowatt ones. So with them, I can charge my battery about 4 hours from 0 to 100, which usually I wouldn't. I would like to do it from 20 to 80 cycle, because that increases the battery's life, or so I hear. You shouldn't charge it 100%, and you shouldn't drain it to 0. Yeah, I plan to go from always from 20 to about around 20 to 85 or 80. And that's enough time for that, and that's pretty good price. Like it is like 4 euros or like 6 euros, something like that, per session. So and if you compare it with a gasoline car, you full tank, you have like 40-50 euros per full tank or something like that. So that's pretty. That's where electric cars save money for you. So yeah, and also as a backup plan, I bought a charging station. I can show you. It's this thing. I can show you. That's the end that goes into the car, and that's the end that you use. As you can see, there's options for 10 amps and 16 amps, and you can switch it with this button on the side. My house it doesn't do 16. I'll tell you later. First, and I also got this long cable. It's about 40 meters. I think it should be pretty long for if I want to, for example, charge from my window. I don't know if it's legal or not, but I'll find out before doing it. But I'm hoping maybe I can, in worst case scenario, when I can't charge it from with a charging station or something, and I'm trimming a low battery. So yeah, we will see. So that's the charging story. And the thing I showed you is like, if it's not clear, it's for charging from wall socket with a Schuko, it's called in Germany, plug that goes into the wall. With a Schuko, it's called in Germany, plug that goes into the wall with a 240 volt and 10-16 amperes. But yeah, if I charge at home, it will be 10 amperes, and it will take a long time. It's about 25 hours if I want to charge from 0 to 100. But as I said, I won't be doing that. So you'll see how that goes. But yeah, hopefully the charging stations will be my option, and I don't see why they wouldn't work. But it's good to have a plan B, especially if I'm going somewhere on a long journey, somewhere else in some other country, for example, and somehow the charging doesn't work there. So I can use this option of charging from a wall. Yeah, so that covers that. So hopefully that's some good information for you, if anyone watches this at all. And next time we will talk on the we'll talk after. Sorry, I got my car hopefully, and then I'll make this video in the car so I can show you things and stuff. Okay, bye bye. Signing off.